I've decided that I'm going to start a new hobby, and that is making miniatures. Why do I want to make miniatures? Well, I had nothing to watch on TV, so I went on CBC Gem, which is Canadian, and they had Best in Miniatures. And if anyone's seen that show, I'm obsessed with it, and it's just basically people making miniature doll houses and doing little challenges and like decorating rooms, and I'm like, I could do that. I legit can do that. Like, I know I can do that. So that's what I'm doing for this week's video. I'm gonna make some miniatures. Now here's the thing, I did not jump onto the miniature trend right away when everyone else did, you know. I'm just like, miniatures? I don't know about that. And then when I saw how they actually make the miniatures, I'm like, my entire existence has been leading up to this moment. And that moment is to make miniature things. Why, you might ask? Let's go through a list of things of why I feel like I am qualified to make miniature items. I have a list on my phone. I wrote them down so I wouldn't forget. They use a lot of hot glue and glue guns. I'm at that point where if I burn my fingers on a glue gun, I don't really feel it anymore because I've burnt myself so many times on a glue gun, okay? I love using a glue gun, and the fact that I can use it to make something, I love that. I have been crafting my entire life, and when I got to a certain age, I'm like, crafting, like, where is that gonna take me, right? And then I got into crochet, but now I'm back into crafting. Continuing on my list, craft supplies. Do you know how much crafting supplies that I have hoarded for like years, okay? Probably 20 years ago when I was 14 years old, I probably still have crafting supplies from when I was 14 years old, okay? I don't throw anything away. That leading to my next point, random things that I don't get rid of because I'm like, it could be useful for something. I'm not lying, okay? The amount of stuff that I'm just like, oh, that's a cool bottle cap, I'll save that for something. What? I don't know. Now I do miniature things. The next one, a Dremel. They use Dremels for things. I got a Dremel 10 years ago when I thought I was gonna go in the art department of the filming industry because I went to film school and I applied to IATSE as a permittee, and they never called me back. I called every single day. So I didn't need to like do anything, but I still have a Dremel, and I have the Dremel kit, and I have all the bits, and I know how to use it. So we got that. Scrap fabric and yarn. Also scrapbooking things. I didn't get into scrapbooking, but I got into bullet journaling. I'm still into bullet journaling, but back then, the amount of bullet journal papers that I would just randomly buy at Michael's when they would have a sale for what was like 10 for $1 sometimes, it was pretty good back in the day. I still have all that. You can use it for wallpaper, you can use it for flooring. That's the only two things I can think of right now, but you can use that paper for everything. And I have so much of it. The last one on there is I have sewing skills. I've got sewing skills, okay? I watched the show, and the task is you have to make a hand-sewed item, and everyone's a little bit freaking out. I'm just like, I could do that. I can do that. I also can hand sew. I feel like my entire existence has been leading up to me to make miniatures. What am I doing for this video? I'm gonna be making a miniature crochet blanket and a couch. I don't know if this is a big task. I'm gonna make a couch. It's miniature. I think it's what, 1/12 scale? Something like that. I'll figure it out. Don't worry, I'll do more research. So I went to my favorite yarn store, which is the Creative Knitter, and I bought very thin yarn. I bought these colors. If you thought for a second that I wasn't gonna make this retro, it's gonna be retro, okay? I want to make a 1980s style couch with probably like a 1970s blanket because it's the 80s. You still had stuff from the 70s. What would go better than a nice blanket? I want to use these three colors, and I think they're perfect. I wish that this one was a little bit more darker brown, but it was the only brown, and I had already bought these like a week earlier, and then I was thinking about them like I should have bought a brown. I went back and bought a brown. Now here's the thing. I don't know what style I'm gonna do. It's obviously gonna be probably single crochets or maybe double. I don't know. And I'm gonna have to use a really tiny crochet stick. A crochet hook. But I don't know if I wanna make it a striped pattern or if I want to make it like a chevron zigzag pattern, because I feel like the chevron zigzag pattern would just be amazing. But I don't want to stress myself out too much, even though the blanket is probably only going to be like maybe this big. I will figure that out. Also, this yarn is called Hoist yarn and is 100% wool, and it wants me to use 3 to 3.5 millimeter hook. I had already been to the Lens Mill store and bought my supplies before I shot my intro. Now, this being my very first miniature project, I wasn't really certain what I should buy. Like, I had an idea and I'm like, okay, there has to be something. I did find these, and they're actually for chair pads, but I mean, like, foam is foam. These ones here were $7.99 for a pack of 4, which is pretty good, but you see how the thickness of that, like the not so much the thickness, but the denseness of that white foam. That's kind of what I was looking for. So I kept looking, and I did find this aisle at the very back of the store, and it was just a bunch. I could not pick up that foam piece for some reason, but it was a bunch of little tiny foam pieces for a really good price. Like this foam piece, $1.25. So I was just kind of like looking for this because there was like, I don't know, there's a certain consistency of foam that I was kind of looking for. Not that it really matters for a miniature, like no one can honestly sit on it, but in my head, I'm like, I gotta make it comfy. Typically this store has just one building, but this location has two buildings, and the one building, which is my favorite building, basically just yarn and fabric in this one, and I absolutely love it. And here I am looking at some yarn. I don't need yarn. I already bought the yarn. Then I made my way over to the fabric. Finally, there was so much great fabric. Like the upholstery fabric was amazing, but because it is miniature, upholstery fabric is really thick and it just wouldn't work out. And trust me, if it would work, I have the perfect fabric like at home that I would love to use for this project, but then like considering how thick the fabric was, I'm like, I just can't use it for this project. So this is in the very back of this building, and it's just a bunch of scrap fabric that I guess was a little bit left on the bolt, and instead of having that on the shelf, they just threw it back. Now, I really did like that flower one, but unfortunately the pattern was too big. Again, it is miniature. I need a small, fine print. I was also looking for something that was like velvet or velour, but the problem with that is that a lot of the ones that I did like were either too thick or the color just wasn't right. I was really hoping to find a brown like this. If this print was brown, would have bought it, would have snatched that up. Doesn't really go with the theme that I want. I was very tempted to buy this because it is everything that I was looking for, but unfortunately the print was just way too big. And I know I could have made it work, but I wanted a smaller print. I love that brown and orange one. If I could have a real couch in that color, 100% yes. Just not for this miniature project, unfortunately. And then, you know, I just had to check out the bird fabrics because they got a lot here. So the next day I went to Fabricland because I couldn't find the fabric I wanted. I was trying to find some like velour floral pattern, but I guess it's just not in style right now. But I mean, like, come on, I'm trying to make a couch from the 80s. Of course the fabric I'm looking for is not just going to be found in a fabric store. But I did try thrift stores and I didn't find any, so you know, that was my first place to look. I didn't see anything. I just kind of looked over all the fabric and just nothing quite caught my eye. I did find all of these florals, and this red one here, probably the closest that I could get to what I was looking for my miniature couch material. I told you, I'm going to be making a couch. I'm going to make it out of this fabric. I went to Fabricland, and this was the closest that I could get to a 1980s floral couch. Now, would I have loved to make it velvet? Absolutely. They didn't sell what I wanted, and then I did actually go to Lens Mills, and I saw one that I wanted, but the print was way too big. I'm like, this is miniature. The print has to be a little bit smaller to make it more realistic. So I bought this, and I bought 1/2 meter of this material here. I also, when I went to Lens Mills, I bought these supplies. This was going to be the wood, the structure. I don't know why I bought 2 things of foam, but I bought 2 things of foam. The foam isn't even going to be this thick. I'm going to have to cut into it. This is the foam piece that I really wanted, but this came in a 4-pack for $8. This one here is actually a little bit softer than this one. This one's a little bit more dense. This foam is going to last me for such a long time in the miniature world, if I make more things, which I really hope I do. That's why I bought this one, because I first saw this one, I'm like, oh, well, this is $1.25. Let's see, you know, which one I like better. I hope everything goes well. I've never done miniatures before. Actually, I did have to make like, I think 1 diorama, maybe 2 in high school. I wish I would have made more. Those would have been fun, but now I had to write stupid essays. This is something that I would be really interested in, and I really hope it works out. I'm gonna do some other stuff right now because I have to do some other stuff today, but this week I'm gonna start my miniature journey and see how it goes. Okay, so my idea was to make the couch first, then I could figure out how big to make the blankets. Now, what I did is I actually went to the thrift store earlier this day because turns out there's no couch in my house. We don't have a couch. We don't have a couch anymore. We don't need a couch anymore. So we don't have a couch. In order to make something to scale, you kind of need to have that object in real life. So I went to a thrift store, and with luck would have it, there was a 3-seater couch there. I took out my tape measure and I measured that couch in front of everybody in that store. And to anyone else's knowledge, I could have been just like measuring it out. Would this fit in my car? Probably not, because it's a car. Could this fit in my house? No one really knows why I was measuring it, but I was measuring it. And so I took those notes and I brought them home and I did a bunch of math, because for miniatures, there's a certain scale you kind of have to follow. And I believe it is 1/12 scale. So for every 12 inches equals 1 inch. But anyways, that's what I did. And so here I am cutting out the couch cushions. So these are going to be the seating part of the cushion. And I know I could have just made like one long rectangular piece, but that's not me. If I'm doing something, I'm going to go a little bit above and beyond. A little bit, not too much, maybe a little bit. So I wanted to make 3 individual seats, and like I said, I knew that this foam was going to be a little bit too big, so I ended up cutting it in half. Now I just don't have the proper tools to cut it in half, so I just used these scissors and it worked out fine. Then I made the back cushions, figuring it out as I go along. I've never really crafted anything with foam before, so this is my first time. Also, I know I'm like crafting on the ground. I really wanted to craft in my garage, but this particular week was really cold outside and I was just not gonna deal with that cold. I also made sure to label all the pieces. So B means the back of it, and I did put an arrow facing up, meaning that's going to be the top of the back cushions. I feel like labeling things is probably a good idea. Remember how I showed you that piece of wood that I was going to use to like make the structure of the couch? Well, I found this foam in my room. Remember when I said I just have a bunch of random crafting supplies? Enter this black piece of foam. And I'm like, this is what I'm going to use because I can cut it with scissors. And again, if I was in the garage, I would have used some tools and I would have cut the wood. But you know what? I'm in the house. It's cold out. I'm going to use this foam. And thank goodness I bought this. Do you know when I bought this foam? I bought this foam in December. It's March right now, okay? I've been holding onto this foam for a few months. Yes, I have a project that I need to do, that I actually need to use it with. I just haven't done it yet. Again, because it's cold and I don't want to go in the garage. But anyways, I decided to use this foam to build the base of the couch. Now that I've shaped the couch parts and have it all set up, it's time to add that fabric. Now, I know I could have sewn the fabric. I just didn't really want to sew the fabric right now. I didn't want to make something too complicated for myself and then just get a headache and then just be put off miniatures in the future. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to hot glue things today. Like, definitely in the future, I would love to start sewing things, but I just wanted to see how things worked out and, you know, just play around with it for a little bit. Also, I love hot gluing things. It's like the easy way out, I feel. But yeah, eventually I'll do some sewing. Also, I bought way too much fabric, but that's okay. I was originally actually going to dye half the fabric, and I did buy dye. And then I just kind of kept looking at the fabric, and I'm like, you know what? We're just going to keep it red for now. I'll have some more left over, so if I, in the end, want to make a brown couch, I did buy brown dye, I'll do that. So here I am just covering up, I believe these are the arm rests, just with some glue and with the fabric. So there we go. Now I'm just gluing the fabric to all of the cushions and the back cushions. I actually found this plastic lid to a container I have. Make the gluing process and crafting process just a little bit easier, so I'm not doing it on this little cute daisy rug I have. But yeah, because these are actually going to be glued in place, that's another reason why I didn't do any sewing, just because I'm going to glue them in place and they're never going to move, so no one was going to see underneath or really the sides of these pieces. Now that all of the pieces have their fabric on, I am gluing them to the base of my sofa. This project actually was a lot easier than I thought, and now I feel like maybe I should have put a bit more effort into it, but you know, it's fine. I think it's actually looking pretty cute at this part. Like, this is the part where I'm like, wow, I actually made a couch? Like, that's just crazy to think that I made like a little mini couch. Now, I knew I wanted to put some type of wooden feature at the very end of these armrests, and my sister's like, I have popsicle sticks. I'm like, perfect. So I got these big popsicle sticks and I'm cutting them to like fit the end of these armrests. Then I took this brown Sharpie just to like make it look more like a dark stained wood. Eventually, you know, if this is something that I'm really interested in doing, then I will invest in like, you know, better crafting materials such as stains. I'll probably get some like wood stain in the future if I like, you know, really get into this. This marker is just a crafting supply I just randomly had. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna use. And of course, with my handy dandy glue gun, I am just gluing these bad boys onto the sofa. So here's the thing, no matter how many times I do the chevron stitch, my math never is right. It's never right. I only wanted to do 4 peaks. I ended up having exactly 5. How did that happen? I don't know. I follow what they say online and it still doesn't work out. But this is where we're going because I'm not going to do it again. I had to take this apart like 3 times. As you can see, the couch is done. I mean, I probably could have done a little bit better on the couch, but it's my first time. I'll figure it out. So it's going to be a little bit big. You know what? That's fine. The reason why I did the couch before I did the blanket is because I didn't know how much to make the blanket, and I didn't want to make the blanket too big, and I didn't want to make the blanket too small. So I needed the couch in comparison. I still can't believe I made a couch. Like, I still cannot believe I made the couch. Also, the couch of my dreams. So I think I'm going to do a few rows in orange, a few rows in brown, and then green, and then back to orange. Also, if no one's seen it, I was doing this. I took the handles off. I know, completely different video. If you haven't watched the video, go for it. I didn't like the handles. I couldn't handle it. So I took it apart and I knew I didn't have enough green. I wish this was a little bit longer. What I ended up doing was, instead of making 2 straps, I just made a really long strap and then tapered it up and did the same to the other side and then connected it. Kind of wanted to more connect it in the middle, but I ran out. That's fine. And then I did a nice little orange border. And this is exactly how I wanted the bag to be. But at the time, I was really unsure that I was even going to have enough green. Just wanted to give a little update on this bag, even though the video is done and out and whatnot. It's too big. That's just way too big. I can't believe it's the blanket. I can't believe it's the crochet blanket, the thing that I am known for crocheting, that is giving me the most trouble with this miniature project that is going on. I want it to be more of like a lap blanket and not like a big blanket. So I like the 3 peaks. It's just way too long. Like, if it could end right here, that's a good size. I'm gonna have to take it apart again. All right, so this is what it's looking like. This is the size. So if I put this on here, that's the size I wanted. I didn't want it to be too big. Thinking about it now, I probably could have even got even a finer yarn than this. Pretty cute. So I'm just gonna keep going. I don't know how many rows. I think I might do 3, like 3 blocks of color. So like that's one, do another one, and then do another one. I also kind of wish that this brown looked a little bit more brown. It's looking a little bit charcoal gray. It's fine. I am glad that I did take the time to take it apart and redo it. I also feel like because of it's doing that, I am gonna have to block it, and so hopefully that will give it a little bit more stretch and maybe make it less stiff. So yeah. Last week I was showing you this amazing hook that I bought from BWA Woodturning. What I love about it is that there's so many hook sizes. I was kind of getting a little worried that I was going to have to use like a really tiny crochet hook, and I really don't like holding those. But this one, the handle stays the same and I can just change this bit. Like right now, this is a 3, but it doesn't feel like I'm crocheting with a 3. It feels like I'm still crocheting with a 5 because the handle is so nice to hold on to. Totoro, can I ask you what you're up to? Don't you even think about Totoro. Stop, Totoro. I don't know. She only gets this way around wool yarn, not acrylic. But when it's wool yarn, she goes absolutely ham for it. You can't have it, okay? Okay, Totoro? You can't have the yarn. I'm sorry. It's not good for you. I know the cats on TV and cartoons have yarn, but you can't have it. Also, I'm crocheting, in the middle of crocheting, and she has to sit on me. Okay, I have to crochet now, okay? Look at that sad little paw. It's so sad. Look at it, she looks so sad. She's like, I just want the crochet hook. How would I give you pats instead? What is that? Oh, please stop, Totoro. She loves my hook just as much as I do. She's just holding it. All right, so I'm gonna stop here. I think this is big enough. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna weave in the ends now. I can't get away from weaving in ends. And then I think I'm gonna like wash it a little bit, like wet it and then wet block it just so I can like stretch it out maybe like a little bit more this way. I think that'll be okay. I don't really work with wool a lot. I'm kind of new to like, how do I stretch it and all that stuff. So we'll see how this goes. Wet blocked it. It's pretty dry now. I left it overnight and I just kind of stretched it out so I can take the pins off. All right, remember when I said I had a bunch of scrapbooking paper? Well, it's all in here. I kind of want to make a little scene, even though I only have a couch and a blanket. I want to have a floor and I want to just have some wallpaper or walls or something. I'm just gonna look through this and see if I can find anything that will work. I was really hoping that I was gonna have more of this wallpaper because this is the wallpaper I wanted. And I would have bought 2 or 3 of these at Michael's yesterday. They didn't have this one anymore. It is older, like I bought this probably six years ago, and I only have those 2 pieces. I think now I'm just gonna have to go through this book, and there's a lot in here, and hopefully find something that will work as wallpaper, because again I want to do like a 1980s theme. And Michael's yesterday I just didn't see anything that like really worked. Like I think maybe this could work. That kind of looks like old wallpaper. Maybe that. I'm just gonna go through these and hopefully find something. Here is the mini couch done. I'm honestly surprised how easy it was, and now that makes me feel like, did I do it right because it was that easy? I don't know. But here's the little couch and the little blanket. I think they look so good. I'm very impressed that I actually made something like this. So let's first talk about the couch. Here's the couch up close, and then here is the back of the couch, and here's underneath the couch. I think this actually turned out really, really cute. And you know what? The redness, there's already cat fur on this furniture. Of course there'd be cat hair on this couch. I actually kind of grown to love the redness of this fabric. I did buy brown and orange dye because I was thinking about, you know, dyeing it half brown and the other half orange and seeing which one I liked. I just didn't feel like, it was just one of those days where I'm like, I just kind of want to do this project. I don't want to put like too much effort into it just in case I don't like it, you know what I mean? I do have a lot of this fabric left over, so in the future, if I do want to recreate this knowing what I know now and maybe actually sewing each of these little couch covers, I can dye them brown, I can dye it orange, you know, I can make adjustments. I also feel like the wood here, I kind of wish that maybe, I don't know, here's the thing, like looking at it like with my own eyes and not in this bright light, the wood looks really good, but when it's here, it definitely looks like I used marker to, like, you know, color it on. I mean, other than that, I think this turned out really, really cute, and I did glue all the cushions down, so maybe in a future project, maybe I won't glue them down to make it more realistic, but for my first attempt at making mini furniture, I think I did pretty well. Let's talk about the blanket. Look how cute this is. I don't wet block any of my items. Usually what I make is like, you know, sweaters and stuff. Not, why am I pointing at this sweater? Not, obviously not this sweater. But when I make stuff, it's usually with acrylic yarn. Sometimes if I steam it, that kind of works. But anytime I've tried to wet block acrylic, I don't see a difference. Wet blocking wool makes a difference, okay? Like, look at this. Look at how nice and flowy this is. This was so stiff. I'll show a photo right here. I took a photo so I could show my friend what I had made. I had like draped it over here, like over the couch, but it was like really stiff that it just didn't sit right. But look at how nice this blanket sits on this couch now after I wet blocked it. I did this last night, and basically before I went to bed, it was already dry. But I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it overnight. Look at how that drapes. I can just like it drapes so nicely, and then if I push it in, make, you know, it's a little bit nicer, but like I don't even have to like really like push it in, I can just like drape it on the couch, and it drapes so nicely because I wet blocked this. Also, because I wet blocked it, I did stretch it out this way a little bit, and I did give it a little bit of stretch this way. I think it worked out. And what's so funny is that there's kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4 peaks on this side, 3 peaks on this side. You know how I said I wish there was 4 peaks? Well, technically one side does kind of have 4 peaks. I don't know what to do with this couch now, because part of me is like, should I just make an entire house? Like, what I would love to do is make an entire Stranger Things house. I give the blanket a 10 out of 10. Like, it is so cute. Love it. It's perfect. The couch itself, I'll give it like a 7.5. Like, there's definitely some areas where I could have probably made it a little bit more structured. Like the arms are just a little wobbly. Probably could have done a little bit better with like how I put it together, my craftsmanship. But I mean, for my first couch, I think I did a pretty good job. I think miniatures is something I definitely want to like do like going forward, and the fact that I can use like my crafting skills, my sewing skills, and my crocheting skills all in one hobby, it's perfect. It's the perfect trifecta. I think that does it for this video. If you're new to my channel, like sewing, thrifting, crafting, and of course crocheting, please hit that subscribe button. You can also follow me on my Instagram, TikTok, and of course my Patreon. I think that is it. So y'all have a good day now.